We meet new Ontario Reign head coach Andrew Lord on this edition of Locked On LA Kings.
You are Locked On Kings, your daily podcast on the Los Angeles Kings. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Kings fans, welcome to Locked On LA Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On LA Kings your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. I'm Eddie Garcia, your host of Locked On LA Kings. I've worked in sports media for the last 30 years. Also one of the co-hosts of Locked On NHL Game Night, a nightly podcast and YouTube show that recaps the night in the NHL during the season, and a passionate LA Kings fan for over 30 years. We are happy to be joined today by new head coach of the LA Kings AHL affiliate, the Ontario Reign, and his name is Andrew Lord. Coach, thank you very much for doing this. Great to meet you. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, thanks for having me on, Eddie. Excited to be on your show here and talk a little hockey.
Well, congratulations on being named the new head coach of the Ontario Reign. Definitely want to get into how you got to this job where you are now and kind of the road to get there. But I guess it makes sense to kind of learn about your background. Born in West Vancouver, BC, made your way to the States to play hockey, college hockey. What was that process like going from one country to another? Is it just as simple as getting scouted and getting offered a scholarship, or how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, that takes me back. I've been all over at this point, all over the world pretty much for hockey. But yeah, I was playing in Vernon in the ECHL for 2 seasons, and then was recruited by RPI, Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. They're part of the ECAC, and was fortunate enough to get a full ride scholarship there. I ended up playing 1 year after high school, so an additional year for Vernon, and then I went when I was 19 over the border to Troy, New York, and played 4 years there before turning pro, and it was great experience. Obviously had been to the States a bunch as a kid, traveling and whatnot, holidays, all that kind of thing. And, was pretty used to moving away from home, having been away for 2 years in Vernon already. There's definitely a bit of a cultural shift and change, but all in all, it was a great experience. It was a great school, great group of guys. Really enjoyed my time there, and I think that certainly helped with the transition. Early days when I went through my first season.
What would you say? How would you describe yourself as a player? And is there any player that maybe you compare yourself to?
Rugged, hard to play against. Just did all the little things that are needed to have a decent pro career and make my way out of college onto a pro team. And, I credit some of my junior and college coaches for kind of instilling that in my game. But yeah, just face-offs, defensively reliable. I was mainly a center and then played some right wing. Could chip in offensively, in tight, tips, rebounds, ugly kind of scoring. But yeah, just more of an intangible character type player that I think I earned everything that I got in a way, right? Just by working and having attention to detail. So I think that has helped me with my coaching career because I had to put all that extra work in as a player. It didn't come overly easy to me, and certainly use that right now as a coach.
So I assume the NHL is always the ultimate dream and the ultimate goal, but you don't get drafted, but you have a chance to extend your career, or maybe did you feel like it was possibly a path for you, or was it just the thing to sign in the ECHL after your college career just to kind of extend, you wanted to play more hockey and kind of experience that side of things?
I mean, I was all in on the NHL, to be honest. It hit me like a truck going the wrong way my junior year of college. We had 2 new coaches come in, Jim Montgomery and Seth Appert, and up until that time, things have been going well. I had a good junior career. I was ranked Central Scouting. Fortunately, didn't get drafted, but was right in the picture too, and a bunch of my buddies did, where I just missed out. So I still felt relevant and in play. Unfortunately, we just had 4 pretty poor years at RPI. We were below 500 each year. The new coaches came in and they wanted me to play a little bit more of a different style and play to my strengths, play to my size. And I was in and out of the lineup, and that's really when it hit me that maybe, hold on, I might not actually make the NHL here. Up until that point, I sort of was certain or, convinced I would make it. And that was a bit of a reality check. And then, I think you don't get a pro deal, an NHL deal or whatnot. And the next step was going to the coast there and Wheeling, and ended up, fortunately learning those last 2 years in college how I needed to play. And I think that prepared me really well. I think I alluded to that a couple minutes ago, and ultimately allowed me to have, a couple good years in the coast, earn a couple call-ups, and then stuck in Oklahoma City, which was Edmonton's AHL team, my 4th year. Finished the year there, played, I think, probably 30 games or so the back half of the year. Went back the following year, and I had an injury in preseason, kind of a neck concussion thing that lingered, and I actually got shut down for the year. So I missed the whole season there, which was actually where I got to coach a little bit and kind of got the juices flowing for coaching. But long story short, definitely the majority of time in college thought I was going to make it all the way. And I think it was a rude awakening when you go pro, seeing how many good players there actually are, right? And there's only 700 jobs in the NHL.
So you make your way over to Europe to continue your career. What was that process like? And was it a type of thing where maybe you knew some players that were over there and they thought, hey, do you want to give this a shot? Or how did that process all work?
Yeah, so basically that 4th year in Oklahoma City, got shut down, helped a little bit as an extra coach, fly on the wall type thing. By probably December, I was feeling a lot better and I was getting over my injuries. They just wouldn't let me come back. So it was great for my coaching career, really kind of ended my career in North America with the potential to continue playing or get another American League deal. So I went home, really thought about it. I almost took a coaching job in the ECHL right then, which is a lot of years ago, but just felt like I needed to keep playing, at least see it out a little bit. So I got a job in Germany too, in the second league there. It's called the DEL2 now. It was a different name back then, but in Garmisch over in Munich. And I didn't know anyone on the team overly well, a little bit, kind of, connection through a connection type of thing. Had a bunch of buddies that had played overseas and spoke highly of it for the most part. And it was an interesting experience, a lot of fun, great city. Again, we weren't overly good as a team, but it was definitely neat to go overseas and experience that for the first time.
So you land with the Cardiff Devils in the Elite Ice Hockey League in England, and that was where it really started to transition, right? It was a player coach thing, and then eventually your first head coaching job there.
Yeah, so the year in Germany didn't go overly well. The neat thing about the UK experience is I think just about every team in that league, they kind of have a sponsorship or deal with one of the local universities where you'll still get paid minor league pro salary, but it's kind of 3 to 5 guys a team can get your master's, your MBA. So Cardiff came calling, and it was a perfect opportunity to go there, do my master's, play. So that was a year of just me as a player still. That was under the old ownership there. Again, we had a tough year. I think we were 9th out of 10 teams. It was pretty ugly for the most part. The team got sold at the end of that season. I almost went and signed with another team in the league. One of the assistant coaches on the current Cardiff team then kind of told me to hold off a couple days. And next thing you know, the team was bought by 4 guys in Calgary. I knew the president that came over from Belfast, and kind of with that whole thing, it happened really quick. They were trying to balance the books. Having a player coach obviously is, kind of 2 salaries in one, more or less. Right. So, and I really wanted to coach. So it was a perfect arrangement for both sides. And, just a crazy experience, signing a team in probably 5 or 6 weeks. And fortunately, somehow we had a great group of guys, and we outperformed expectations. And the rest is history. It lent its way into probably 6 great years there. And really memorable time, pretty crazy how fast it changed from playing, kind of bouncing around a little bit as a minor leaguer, to then getting a coach and getting my foot in the door as a player coach, sort of, out of Slapshot almost, with a little more professionalism, and it went really well.
All right, we're going to get more into your transition into the coaching side of things, talk about that. We'll do that with new Ontario Reign head coach Andrew Lord right here on Locked On LA Kings. We've all been there, logging on early, waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where Gametime comes in. Gametime makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. The prices actually drop the closer you get to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. Gametime's zone deals pick the best seats in the section for you. Do you ever wonder what your seat's going to actually look like before you buy? Well, the app shows you a panoramic seat view, so there are no surprises. With Gametime, the price that you get is the price you're going to pay. There are no hidden fees, and if you worry about your plans changing, Gametime has a guarantee that has your back with cancellation protection and more. Take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets and show tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL. You get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. Create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNHL, and get $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, we are continuing with the new head coach of the Ontario Reign. He is Andrew Lord. And Coach, you start your coaching career in England. You have some success. When is that the point where you kind of thought, maybe this is my path to the NHL? Maybe this is how, I can kind of keep that hockey dream alive, and this is something I can actually have a career in?
Yeah, I mean, certainly rejuvenated me a little bit. I kind of made my peace after that fourth year where I didn't get to play in the American League, that it was sort of done as far as the NHL. I had always really been interested in coaching for the most part, though. So it wasn't just some, random occurrence that I became a coach. Like, I felt like it was something that I was definitely going to do long term and allow me to stay in the game. I think it came a little bit sooner than I anticipated. I would have liked to have played a little bit longer. But yeah, great transition. And then when we had some success in Cardiff, I felt like, I was ready and capable to move back overseas to North America. Easier said than done. You're a little bit out of sight, out of mind over there, right? Even though it is a very undercover good league, we had success, et cetera, et cetera. It took some years for me to get the break to Greenville in the ECHL. And I think once I got there, that's when I really felt like, okay, I'm back in play now. I'm in the mix. I'm in LA's organization. Maybe I can chip away at this thing now. And ultimately, I love to coach. Yes, the dream's the NHL, but I still do really enjoy the process wherever I've been.
So you returned to the ECHL where you started your playing career. You're with the Greenville Swamp Rabbits, the Kings ECHL affiliate. You spent 4 years there, then junior hockey in Halifax for a year, and now in the AHL for the first time with the Ontario Reign. Were there certain things specifically that you feel like you've learned at certain levels, having coached in 4 different leagues now, where it's going to be 4 at this point?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, in the UK and the ECHL, you're also the GM typically, and that was my situation. So you're wearing a million hats, you're going a million miles an hour, trying to juggle everything. I think it's an awesome experience, particularly the ECHL. I think it's, I would argue heavily that it's the hardest league in the world to coach, just with everything going on, 50 players a year, just so many different elements to it, managing the budget, managing the transactions, recruiting in the summer, trying to coach at the same time. I think it readies you for a lot of different things. The UK, obviously culturally and kind of a melting pot of players. We had guys down from the KHL, we had ex-NHLers, we had guys from the ECHL. I think, a huge age range. Guys are 21 all the way up to probably 38. So you're managing all those different personality types, where guys are at in their careers and their lives away from the game too. And then I think Halifax really tied it all together. Unbelievable organization. They really do things the right way. much more similar to the setup we have in Ontario, where 2 general managers, a full scouting staff, 5 coaches, two athletic trainers, 2 equipment managers, just a much bolstered, staff where I was strictly coaching and reporting to general managers, managing all those different elements to it. And I think that was a really important step in my career this past season, to kind of tie all those years of almost doing everything to now being more of a, manager CEO type of thing, where, you're allowing your specialists to do their jobs, right? And trying to bring everyone together, for a lack of a better term. So I think every stage was really important in my development, and I feel really good about this next one here coming up.
You talked about how you described your playing style. How would you describe your coaching style? And did you have any coaching mentors?
Yeah, I'd say I'm old school in the sense of accountability, character, culture, work ethic, and extremely new school in, being interested in analytics, being very into communication, a real flat organizational structure where I want debate, I want input, I want our players questioning and having those discussions with us, asking why. So I think I'm a real blend between both things. And I definitely think I'll be going to my 12th season here as a head coach. You would develop and adapt as well with the times, right? And I think I've been able to stay current with that. I take a lot of pride in that, and I think that's really important for our young players. And then what was the other part of the question? Sorry.
If you had any coaching mentors.
Oh yeah, the mentors. Yeah. I think that's the one thing that, I don't probably get to talk enough about is unbelievable group of men that have mentored me over the years. Ron Johnson, a skill coach back in Vancouver, probably mentored me for, 12, 15 years. Seth Appert, he's the assistant coach in Buffalo. Jim Montgomery, obviously a coach in the NHL now, as a head coach again. I had Todd Nelson, who's an assistant coach in the NHL now. He was in Hershey. The list goes on and on. I'm definitely missing a few guys. Even Sturmy, the last bunch of years going to camp, and Schulz and Heider and Brownie, all these guys have been great parts of my development, and I've definitely leaned on all of them and asked a lot of questions along the way. And I think you sort of blend your own personality with your beliefs, but all those guys have definitely had an impact on my coaching career.
I would assume that being with the Swamp Rabbits and having a connection with the Kings helped in you getting this job. And did it kind of work both ways, in that they knew you a little bit and you also knew them a little bit?
100%. Yeah. I mean, now, it's an American League head coaching job. It's hopefully not a once in a lifetime opportunity, but it's pretty close to that, right? It's an incredible opportunity. So I probably would have taken it with any team, but the fact that it was the Kings gives me a huge comfort level. The amount of relationships built, I think I got to go to 4 training camps. They treated me like one of their own, even though I was in Greenville in the ECHL, getting to go to every rookie tournament, NHL main camp, AHL camp, the dialogue throughout the season with the coaches, with Rich Seeley, the GM, again, being mentored, learning the environment, even the players. I would say that I don't know them all that well, but you definitely, you see the development. The first year I went there, I think it was Byfield's first year. You see sort of the progression of these guys year on year. And I definitely have a lot of familiarity with the staff and a little bit with the players, which helps.
All right, we're going to get a little bit more into the Ontario Reign and the job, specifically here with Andrew Lord on Locked On LA Kings, your team every day. All right, we are wrapping it up with new Ontario Reign head coach Andrew Lord. And I would imagine being an AHL head coach in particular has its own set of challenges. On the one hand, you are trying to develop players to get to the NHL. On the other hand, you're also trying to win games and produce a good on-ice product, because people are paying money to come watch your team play as well. Is there ever a conflict between the two as far as we want you to win games, we want you to do well, we want fans to come and see this team play, but you're also ultimately trying to make players better and make them, get to the NHL level?
Yeah, I mean, conflict's maybe a little harsh, but there's definitely, I don't think you can do it all at all times, right? And I think the name of the game is there has to be some patience with the young guys, letting them work through some situations, learning through experience. You can't just pull their ice time day one. That's not part of the gig. We got to develop and help, make the next NHLers for the LA Kings organization, right? And help with call-ups this season. I think on the flip side of that, I know the organization believes in it as well, is winning as part of development, right? It's learning how to be good in difficult situations, how to play in a tough playoff game, how to play when you're on the road 5 and 8 games. Maybe you're sick, maybe you're tired, maybe you're a little bit injured, maybe you got something going on at home. I think that all is part of development. It's not just development skill wise, it's development mentally, physically, obviously, and just learning how to be a pro over a really rugged schedule, right? And ultimately, you're going to need to do that every second day in the NHL. So you have to be able to do it at the American League level as well. And that's a lot of what we'll be talking about, teaching, preaching, working together on to get better at this upcoming season.
Do you feel that there's any, I don't know, in the transition, do you have to adjust your coaching style to what the LA Kings are doing so that when, the players, the system you're running, it makes it an easier transition when they join if they are able to join the NHL team? They've been doing the same things. Is that easy, difficult? How does that work?
I mean, I guess it's a little bit of a transition in the sense that we'll be running the LA Kings systems, right? Which is the name of the game now. Just about every team's doing that. That makes sense, right? It just does. They're good systems. It's a really good situation they have coming off the year they just had, which was incredible regular season. Excuse me. And I'm excited to adopt those and adopt the language. And I think I'll learn a lot through that process. I think the rest of it is extremely, I believe I'm a detailed coach, a structured coach. I get better mindset every day coach, all about the small little fundamentals. And, the organization's exactly like that, right? You look at the success they've had, the Stanley Cups they've won. I think that's right in line. And I think that's a big reason, why I was fortunate enough to get this job.
I know at one point there was kind of a transition when it came to the AHL. Teams were looking to have that AHL team closer to where the NHL team was. And like, for example, the Kings at one point, it was in Manchester, New Hampshire, their AHL affiliate, and then now to Ontario, which obviously there's a lot of conveniences there. I just wonder, is it attractive to you to have that very close relationship with the Kings, being in the same building, even having those guys being so easy to kind of be able to communicate with them, as opposed to being on the other side of the country when you're in South Carolina?
I think it might be the biggest, aside from, I'm just so excited to work with the coaching staff that's already in Ontario. I have such respect and think so highly of those guys. Aside from that, I think it's the next biggest thing I'm excited about. Just being in the mix, having everybody watching the players, watching you, what you do. I remember my first training camp, I went out and my job was to just push pucks and get them in the right spots. And I remember looking up and Rob Blake and everybody else is standing right there, right? And I think if you want to be in the NHL, that's the environment you want to be in, right? That's to learn, that's to be challenged, that's to be watched. And yeah, I mean, I'm extremely excited personally, and also for our players for that environment. I think it's awesome.
If you could just talk a little bit about your coaching staff, and was it all inherited, or did you have any input into that at all?
Totally inherited. I think it's great. Obviously, Chris Height here, phenomenal. What can you say, right? He's been in the league forever, NHL experience, the NHL defenseman he's developed over the years, what he does with the PK. I think he's, got a great communication style. I think he's got a great relationship with all the players overall. I think Schuler, incredible, right? I think Schulz is very cerebral, sees everything, at a really, elite level, is a really interesting hockey mind. I'd say we're probably quite a bit different. I think that's really good. I think that balances our staff out. I think that'll challenge me and vice versa and be really good. Adam Brown, I was fortunate enough to be with him in Greenville for 2 years. He wasn't there all the time, but he was making probably 5 or 6 trips a year in to develop the NHL, potential goalies there that we had on contract, and got to know him really well on a personal and coaching level. And he's elite in what he does. And then Ryan Dumoulin, the video coach, I've got to know him here a little bit. Met him in LA briefly, and then here recently, the last couple of weeks, just onboarding me with laptop, video, all those type of things. He seems like a great, young mind, and really detailed, great analytically as well. And yeah, I couldn't be more excited. I think the support staff seems incredible too. I've been able to chat with all of them here the last couple of weeks too. And I think it's a really dialed in group. I think it's a group, where everyone's coming in the door each day, looking to make the NHL. And that's something I really want to be a part of, and fortunate to be a part of it.
And finally, I know you said you're still kind of getting acclimated to knowing the players a bit. Obviously, they're, all over the place, enjoying their off season. Do you reach out with them as far as like a phone call, or does that wait until they all kind of gather together? And how does that process start for you?
Yeah, I've been chipping away at it. I just had a house move, so it's been insane, but I've been able to get through all of our staff as of yesterday, which is great. I think I've had 7 phone calls now with players. Tried to start with some of the more veteran guys. Any of the guys that are sort of tweener, they may make the big club, they may be down with us. We've tried to kind of stay away from them almost out of respect. I think you want those guys just going in an NHL camp, trying to make a team, right? If they happen to be down with us, then we can get into that when the time comes. But some really good talks. I just got off the phone with Angus Booth. He was phenomenal, awesome personality. Looks like a heck of a D-man, really good up-and-coming guy. And the list goes on. Hickett's obviously as a captain. Dotes, Doty, what can you say, right? He actually was over in the UK playing years ago when I was over there. So I've known him for a long time at an arm's length. And I think just like the staff, incredible group of guys, really excited to help them wherever I can and get this thing going.
Well, Coach, again, congratulations on getting the job. We're all excited to see how well you do this year and to see how the team does. Best of luck. Again, thank you so much for doing this, and really enjoyed the conversation.
Awesome. Thanks, Eddie. Have a good one.
Okay, you too. Take care. All right, that'll do it for today's show. Hope you guys enjoyed that conversation with new Ontario Reign head coach Andrew Lord. Looking forward to seeing how the Reign do this year. Thanks for joining us. If you are an everydayer and you listen and watch Locked On LA Kings every day, just remember at the end of the week, we have our weekly fan feedback show. If you want to be involved in that, you can send me an email, your questions, your comments, lockedoneddie@gmail.com. If you're watching on YouTube, you can leave your comments in the comment section as well. Stay interactive with the show on social media, X, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We're at Locked On LA Kings. I'm Eddie Garcia. Thank you for listening and watching Locked On LA Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you next time. And as always, go Kings, go.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.